Irfan, do you really want to discuss murder? Then talk about the Madhya dormitory fire and the 20 children who lost their lives. Talk about the over 100 people who died in the MV Barima tragedy. Talk about hundreds of people murdered under the PPP in the early 2000s. Remember that members of your cabinet have faced criminal proceedings. You yourself had 19 fraud charges. Do not act like PPP is some organization untouched by allegations, investigations, or court cases. The president can call me whatever he wants. He can call me a criminal. He can question my credibility. He can send his trolls after me. He can use the machinery of the PPP to attack me. But none of that answers the questions. Where is the evidence? What is the size of the farm? When will Ejil and Indar be fired? When can we expect the hospitals to be fully operational? Where is the urgency for the families of the Barima victims? Where is the preparedness for oil and gas? This is a response to President Ali's live yesterday morning. When did you know I was a criminal? Was it when you were collecting my money? Was it when you rolled around in my bulletproof vehicles? When you sprawled off enjoying life in my armored vehicle because you were scared? Was it when you were using my many security weapons? Did I become a criminal only when I became your political opponent? And if you have evidence that I am a criminal, why are you withholding it from the state? You too should be charged in that case. Take it to the police. Go to court. Every time I release these videos exposing corruption in the PPP, instructions are given to arrest people and try to have them implicate me in a crime. And let me say this to Irfan. Address the message, not the messenger. If what I said about your farm is false, prove it. If what I said about your government is false, prove it. If what I said about the contracts, the hospitals, the oil and gas sector, and the treatment of the Guyanese people is false, prove it. Do not attack me and ignore the matter at hand. If the message is false, destroy the message. The messenger does not matter if the facts are right. The president stood up yesterday and said the farm is less than half of what we said it is. That is a lie. This man is a notorious liar. We have the evidence. We have used international geosatellite data, including Google satellite imagery, and we're going to show the Guyanese people exactly what I found. And let me make something clear. 150 acres was a conservative figure. So the president wants Guyanese people to believe that he owns this massive property and does not know how much land he owns? Come on. You said earlier that when you return from overseas, you would invite the media to the farm and go live. Now it is at the appropriate time. What happened? The president also said the allegations are coming from somebody who is not credible. So is the president now saying that information becomes untrue simply because of who brings it? If the information is wrong, prove it. Do not attack the messenger. Address the message. The president and his minions keep throwing around the figure of 191 billion in alleged tax evasion. Where did that figure come from? Where? The reported U.S. alleged indictment figure is 50 million, which is Guyana dollars 10 billion. So where did this 191 billion come from? Do not manufacture figures and use the office of the president to repeat them as political ammunition. The president was asked when he would consult the opposition leader. His answer was that he will consult only when the Constitution requires it. That tells the Guyanese people everything they need to know. The PPP consults when it is forced to consult. On matters of national importance, they do what they want and when they want. The president says he will seek expert advice on oil and gas. That is the problem. Always after the fact. This government is reactive. Something happens, they get exposed, the opposition calls them out, the public demands answers, and then suddenly they seek expert advice. Guyana has been producing oil for years. Where was the preparedness? Where was the expertise? Where were the systems? And when it comes to the money coming into this country, we have already raised questions about transparency. The president finally quoted 39.8% today after pressure from the opposition and media. I have raised these figures last week. I want the Guyanese people to know that at $80 per barrel, we are receiving approximately 6.3 billion Guyana dollars daily. So my fellow Guyanese, brace yourselves for a $2 trillion budget early next year, while more than half of Guyanese continue to live in poverty. 1 month later, families are still grieving. 1 month later, families are still looking for answers. 1 month later, there is still no urgency that matches the scale of this tragedy. The president talks about the Heart Initiative, but the residents in the region have reported to me and WIN MPs on the ground that nothing meaningful is happening. Meanwhile, WIN has financially and otherwise assisted 21 survivors, 31 families of deceased victims, and 6 families of individuals still missing, 58 affected persons and families in total. We did not wait for a press conference. We went to the people. And when it comes to the COI, we have no confidence in simply being told to trust another government-appointed process. We have seen COIs before. Where are the reports? Where are the answers? Where is the accountability? We also call for Ministers Ejel and Indar to be removed while the inquiry is being conducted. The president's response was that they are waiting on the investigation. If the investigation is supposed to be impartial, then those who may be implicated in the circumstances being investigated should not remain in positions where they can influence the process. That is basic common sense. The president spent time talking about decency and respect. Respect? Have you noticed the way he speaks to journalists? Furthermore, the PPP has an entire network of social media trolls attacking political opponents, insulting people, and making racist comments. You have your puppets on social media being vile to people and coming to lecture us? The president talked about 10-minute emergency care and 30-minute outpatient service. That is not the reality people are experiencing. People are going to hospitals and waiting for hours. People are being transferred because hospitals do not have the equipment to treat them. Patients are being sent to GPHC, and GPHC does not have enough beds. People cannot get prescribed drugs. The RHOs are making a mess of the hospital procurement systems. Hospitals are understaffed. Health workers are paid a pittance. What is the point of building hospitals without the people and equipment needed to run them? Guyanese are still begging for money to travel overseas for surgeries. People are still raising money for medical treatment. Dialysis is costing people $40,000 every week. Meanwhile, this government passed a $1 trillion budget this year and last year. People must not just hear about the trillions, they must feel it. And since the president wants to talk about hospitals, let's talk about VAMID. VAMID Engineering was awarded a contract for 35 billion Guyana dollars for the New Amsterdam Hospital. And despite that history, the PPP government gave the company another multi-billion-dollar hospital contract. This is the same company whose work on the pediatric and maternal hospital at Ogle for 1.9 billion Guyana dollars. Same VAMID. VAMID took taxpayers' money and fled. Contract terminated. Money lost. 2 white elephants. Where was the due diligence? Where were the background checks? This is the same PPP government keeps making decisions for us and asking questions afterwards. Reactive, never proactive. And now they want to talk about model villages when this government cannot guarantee basic water and electricity to its people. Electricity was supposed to be cut in half since Irfan's first term. 2024 moved to 2025, and then to no fixed timeline. We can't get stable electricity and we can't get potable water. Some communities get no water at all. So what exactly will he be modeling? This is nothing but a sham and a distraction from the corruption and nepotism surrounding his PPP government, from the president to his farm and his brother. Irfan Do you really want to discuss murder? Then talk about the Madya dormitory fire and the 20 children who lost their lives. Talk about the over 100 people who died in the MV Barima tragedy. Talk about hundreds of people murdered under the PPP in the early 2000s. Remember that members of your cabinet have faced criminal proceedings. You yourself had 19 fraud charges. Do not act like PPP is some organization untouched by allegations, investigations, or court cases. The president can call me whatever he wants. He can call me a criminal. He can question my credibility. He can send his trolls after me. He can use the machinery of the PPP to attack me. But none of that answers the questions. Where is the evidence? What is the size of the farm? When will Ejil and Indar be fired? When can we expect the hospitals to be fully operational? Where is the urgency for the families of the Barima victims? Where is the preparedness for oil and gas? Where are the answers on these multi-billion-dollar contracts? This is what the Guyanese people want to know. And I will continue to ask, because I'm not afraid of Irfan Ali. I'm not afraid of the PPP. And I will not be bullied into silence. Power is temporary. Remember that.